Okay, today we're going to talk about technological innovation in the industrial age. By capitalizing on the natural resources and their own ingenuity, inventors change more than just the landscape in the United States. Their inventions affected the way people lived and the way people worked. So inventions promote change. So in the video introduction, you saw a variety of different inventions, including the light bulb, which is one of the things we'll talk about early on. So between the 1880 or so and the maybe 1905, the number of inventions, the number of patents taken out on inventions literally just exploded. You're going to do an activity that charts that data, and you'll see all kinds of innovation comes out of this time period. So away we go. In 1876, Thomas Alva Edison became a pioneer on the new industrial frontier when he established the world's very first research laboratory in a place called Menlo Park, New Jersey. You're going to read at length about this Thomas Alva Edison and in an article called Spark of Genius. And you'll read about how he worked and what he did, and this Menlo Park space in particular. So he establishes the very first research laboratory, and there Edison perfected the incandescent light bulb, which was patented in 1880. He later invented an entire system for producing and distributing electrical power. This is pretty incredible because most people talk about the light bulb, but actually Thomas Edison was responsible for, I believe, 1,093 different patents, and I think the distribution the ability to distribute electricity to homes was a much bigger deal than this incandescent light bulb, although the incandescent light bulb was a big deal. They already had arc lamps, things that would light up the night, but this distribution center really put electricity and all these different innovations on the map. So in 1880, he patents the incandescent light bulb. There's a variety of research that goes into trying to figure out how to keep this light bulb lit. And I'm not going to give that away because they're going to talk about that in the article. So he invents an entire system for distributing electrical power. And there was another guy named George Westinghouse. And along with Edison, they added innovations that made electricity safer and much, much less expensive. The harnessing of electricity completely changed the nature of business in America. By 1890, electrical power ran numerous machines from fans to printing presses. This inexpensive, convenient source of energy soon became available in homes, and that spurred the invention of many time-saving appliances. Also, electric streetcars made urban travel cheap and efficient, and also promoted the outward spread from cities. So it really shifts demographics as well. More important, electricity allowed manufacturers to locate their plants wherever they wanted, not just near their source of power, such as rivers. This enabled industry to grow as never before. Huge operations, such as Armour and Swift meatpacking plants, and efficient processes that they used became the models for new consumer industries that sprang up around the nation. By the 1920s, you're going to be watching videos of all sorts of different appliances. I mean, we're talking vacuum cleaners and washing machines, now primitive ones, but still. Stoves where you're cooking inside, faucets where you're turning on and actually having water come, be in your home instead of going down to this community type of faucet or well. So hauling water used to take up a great number of hours in people's days. And fire, harnessing fire. Now you could cook inside of your home and have water fetched inside of your home. This is Thomas Alva Edison later in life in a staged photograph in his Menlo Park research laboratory. And this is one of those early incandescent bulbs. He invented this actually much younger. And also, by the way, you're going to find out that he had a team of researchers doing work on his behalf. And so he's not solely responsible for that incandescent bulb. He had a team of people working with him. Edison's light bulb was only one of several revolutionary inventions. There were also others. By the way, Thomas Edison also created the very first video camera, his electrical grid, a version of the telephone, and a phonograph, this early record player, music player. That's an early Thomas Edison. But there were other people as well. This is Alexander Graham Bell, and this is Helen Keller. And supposedly Alexander Graham Bell did research with Helen Keller to try to figure out how sound worked and transmitted itself, and used that information to create some other early inventions that changed our lives. So Edison's light bulb was one of the several revolutionary inventions. There was a guy named Christopher Sholes who invented a typewriter in 1867. This changed the world of work. We used to have people who were stenographers, they were called, and they hand wrote with shorthand. By hand, they wrote down conversations, accounting records, and things like that. They also copied documents, made copies of those documents by hand. The typewriter changed all of that. Next to the light bulb, however, perhaps the most dramatic invention was maybe the telephone. Unveiled by Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Watson in 1876, this opened the way for a worldwide communication network. Pretty incredible. The typewriter and the telephone particularly affected office work, created new jobs for women. Women made up less than 5% of all office workers in 1870. By 1910, they accounted for nearly 40% of the clerical workforce. New inventions also had a tremendous impact on factory work, as well as on jobs that were traditionally done at home. For example, women had previously sewn clothing by hand for their families in the house. With industrialization, clothing could be mass-produced in factories, creating a need for garment workers such as it did. And many of those workers were women. Industrialization freed some factory workers from back-breaking labor and helped improve workers' standard of living. By 1890, the average work week had been reduced by about 10 hours. However, many laborers also felt that the mechanization of so many tasks reduced human workers' worth. As consumers, though, workers regained some of their lost power in the marketplace. The country's expanding urban population provided a vast potential market for the new inventions and the products in the late 1800s. This is Christopher Sholes, and just a little bit of a story about him. He created the typewriter and then sold the patent rights to the typewriter to Remington for $25,000. Of course, Remington, the company, went on to make millions and millions of dollars off this typewriter. So Christopher Sholes should have probably held on to his invention. But you know what? You take a risk. You never know if you're going to make your money back. Some of the other types of inventions that really changed the way people worked. Sewing machine, a really early primitive refrigerator, a washing machine. The clothes go through here and it wrings the water out of the clothing. I don't know if that's going to work. Okay, we're going to stop right there. And section 2 is going to be about a case study around the railroads and how the industrialization. We can see all of aspects of industrialization in the railroad.